So we just did a quiz on the slope-intercept form, also known as y equals mx plus b. Okay? So the goal of this unit is by the end of the unit, you're having nightmares about the form y equals mx plus b. You've heard it so many times. You know exactly what it means. You know exactly what the picture means by looking at the equation. Okay? Now all I want you to do right now is I want you to spend 1 minute and come up with the equation of this line. What's the equation of this line? A minute's 30 seconds more than you need, but just feeling generous today. Okay, you're doing your quiz backwards. I gave you the equation, asked you to draw the graph. Here's the graph. Do the equation. Okay, anyone feel like putting themselves out there? Yep, what'd you get? Okay, so I'm going to write this down. Slope equals negative 2/3. Okay, so B actually asks what I was looking for, so what would be your equation, Shanna? Y equals. Awesome. Now, if you were giving somebody advice on how to find slope, what would you tell them? Okay, maybe you have a student that's struggling, a friend of yours that I can never find slope. Like they give me a line, I can't find slope. Any advice? Yeah? Okay. So if it's going up, it's going to be positive, down is negative. That's very good. Yep. Okay, so you could use this one and that one, or this one and this one, right? You don't want to use that. That's not, like, what is that, right? And unless a graph is drawn nice, you really can't find slope. Like if it went through half all the way, I really couldn't find slope. I could estimate slope. I could get her pretty close. But, like, see, you know, I like this one. That one's not bad. I like this one, right? So you got to find 2 points. And then do your triangle from those two, your right angle triangle. And it doesn't really matter where you do that right angle triangle. Some people think you got to go right from the y-intercept. You don't have to. The y-intercept will be nice, most likely, right? And if the point isn't nice, they'll give it to you. Maybe it will be 2.5. If they give you the 2 points, then you can use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Still get it. Okay? Does that question make sense? Negative 2/3 x plus 1? And you know what? You have that boxy thingy on your desk that has buttons and stuff on it. You could graph that and see if you get the same picture. That's pretty good verification. Okay? You'll find that most times that calculator will not get you the answer. But you'll find most times that calculator will help you check your answer. Okay? And trust me, that's what is going to help you get from that 80 to 100 on any test. Because very, 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 very few people, I don't know if I've ever taught one, can write a test right off the bat and get 100%. They'll go through it, they'll find a couple mistakes, because they've got that reflective ability to be able to go back and see if they did it right. correct their mistake, then get 100. Okay? Now, let's look at this one. A student's council rents a portable dunk tank as a fundraising activity. Students pay for a chance to hit a target with a ball and dunk a teacher into a tank of water. The relationship between the number of balls thrown X and profit is Y in dollars may be represented by 3X minus 2Y minus 600 equals 0. Okay? Now, in this form, it is basically useless, right? When we get it into this form, the slope-intercept form, now that's what it really means, slope-y-intercept form, okay? Not x-intercept ever, it's slope-y-intercept form. So let's do that. Okay, you had to do that on your quiz today, so I'm not taking you too far to your comfort zone. First thing we would do is subtract that 3x, right? So I got negative 2y minus 600 equals negative 3x. Then what do I want to do? Add 600. I need to get everything out of here. Okay, last thing, divide it by negative 2. So I will get y equals, what would be my slope? Three over 2x, right? The negatives, negative divided by negative is a positive, minus 300. Okay, now this is always the money. Can you tell me what 3 over 2 means? It's always a rate. It's always a rate. Okay? Raven? Okay. That's not wrong, but I want to leave it like this. I want to leave it as 3 over 2. Tell me what 3 over 2 means. Connor? Close. Okay, so if that's close, what would it be? Yep. Okay, so it's $3 per 2 balls. So $3 for 2 balls. No, X is going to be the number of balls. Okay, but 3 over 2 means $3 for 2 balls. So, if X was 2, how much would it cost? If it's $3 for 2 balls, and you put a 2 in there, it's $3. That makes sense. Right? I put a 2 in there. X is the number, and Y is your profit. Okay? So it doesn't say that the number in front of X is the balls, right? Now, what does the y-intercept represent? Yep. Yeah. So $300 is initial cost. Now, if you sold 2 balls, are you still in debt? Okay. In any business adventure, unfortunately, there's a point where you're going to be in debt for a long time. If you wanted to start making like your own chocolate or whatever, are you just going to start making money the first day? Okay, you want to start your chocolate factory? You're going to have to build a factory. You're going to have to pay employees. If you want to start your own machine shop, okay, it's just not as easy as putting up a sign, which would cost you money, right? You've got the building. You've got all of your tools. You've got all of the equipment, all the lifts, all the, right? It may be 5 years before you even break even. And for some businesses, they never break even, right? I mean, if you want to start a photography company, are you going to make money first day? No, you got equipment to buy. Now you could say, oh, my parents gave me a camera for Christmas, okay? So in that case, like my kids, they want to, right? There's this, my one son wants to get this Lego set bad, right? And yeah, he's got money in his bank account, but I'm not going to let him spend that money in his bank account, right? I said, if you need it that bad, work for it. He's like, what can I do? I said, well, you shovel sidewalks, right? So there's a business. Basically, he gets to start off with 0 debt, right? He's going to grab my shovels. I got a couple of snow blowers. He's not using my snow blowers. Nope, he's using a shovel, right? And, I'm trying to actually get him. But there's kids that actually mow lawns, right? And if their parents don't buy them the lawnmower, they have to, maybe their parents will lend them money to buy the lawnmower, but then they got to pay them back. Maybe that first summer, they just pay back the lawnmower. That's it. They actually make no money, right? But what's kind of cool is if they decided they're done with it, they could sell the lawnmower and then they would have money. But if they decided to stick with it, the next year, it's all profit minus gas. Okay? So whenever you start most things, there's going to be that initial startup cost. And that's why it's a negative 300. It is showing you're in debt right from the beginning. Okay? So to the break-even point is what I've been just talking about. Okay, the break-even point. Now, Y equals revenue. Do you guys ever watch like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den? It's good stuff to learn. And you wouldn't believe how many kids love that show. Like my kids are like 7 and 9 and they just love it, right? But the amount of kids like in the US, like they have a huge following. Huge, right? And you learn a lot about, guys come in there with these like, they think their company's worth everything and they beat them down pretty hard, right? And they're like, you only like sold 20. Why do you think your company's worth that much? And they're like, I just think it does, right? And they really teach you, what's revenue. And you'll hear, oh, so how much did you sell last year? And they're like 5 million. And they're like, that's amazing. Okay, how much profit? 100,000. Right? And they're still not going, whoa, that sucks, right? Because they're like, well, we had to pay for all our equipment. We did, but so now we're debt free. They'll ask, do you carry any debt? No, we don't have any debt. So is the company only worth 100,000? No, they've got 5 million of equipment and R&D. That's research and development. That costs money. A lot of things, right? A lot of things have worth that when you're young, you don't really think that is worth. Okay, and then some people go in there and they think their company's worth 5 million. They haven't sold anything, and they're like, well, this is dear to my heart. I've given up my life for this. All these things, and they're like, yeah, boo-hoo, but and they're pretty harsh, right? They're like, yeah, but it's not worth 5 million. Trust me, you're a startup company. You could be worth nothing. So what would it take to break even? So if I'm breaking even, what's my revenue? 0. Now, you may think 0 is a pretty crappy number, but when you started a business, the first time you hit 0, people throw parties. We're finally out of debt, right? That's a huge day for companies when you hit 0 revenue, right? Because now, guess what tomorrow's all about? Making money. Tomorrow we're actually making money, right? So this is a pretty exciting day. You may not see that at your age, but when you're in debt, $5 million, and you finally hit zero revenue, you're like, boom, right? When that kid finally pays off that lawnmower, last payment's done, they've got no money in the bank. They just got a lawnmower, but they're happy because now they don't have to pay for that. They don't have to, right? Like now, when they get paid from that person mowing that lawn, that goes in their pocket, right? That's pretty exciting, instead of always having to pay off that lawnmower. So this is what we want to find. When would, or how many people, right? Because what does X stand for? Number of balls, right? How many balls do I have to throw? Do I need thrown until we start making money? Because let's face it, if you are a dunk tank trying to actually raise money for a charity, right? There's a certain point where you're going, okay, cool, we've paid it off. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. We're doing this all day. At 11 o'clock, we broke even. Now, what we make goes to charity. Okay? Same when you sell tickets to a dance. Like a school dance. Our dance is free. You got to pay for a DJ, right? So, there's actually a point where they'll cancel the dance. Like if they were at zero, would they let the dance go? Probably they would, right? School's not into making money, right? Schools are not allowed to make money, to tell you the truth, right? So once it got to zero, we sold enough tickets to pay for the band or pay for the DJ or whatever, right? So zero is a good thing lots of times, okay? It's not always what we always think of zero, okay? Because people would be like, okay, so you've worked for a year and you have no money. Yeah, that was a good thing that you worked hard all year. I did nothing and I had the same amount as you, okay? Well, one person's got equity now, okay? They've got machines, they've got whatever. Okay, now, how am I going to solve for x? So I'm going to add 300 first. So I'll get 300 equals 3 over 2x. Yes? Multiply by 2 and divide by 3. So it's actually multiplying by the reciprocal. 2 times 300 is divided by 3. 200 equals x. So 200 balls must be thrown to break even. Have you guys ever gone to like silent auctions or anything like that? Okay. Most of that stuff is donated, right? So maybe one business will donate some Oilers tickets, so your break-even point is when they're sitting there, right? Every dollar spent is money for that charity, right? Very, very, very rarely will a silent auction, they have to pay for it and then see if they can. If they did, they would have a minimum bid put on it. Okay? And then you would say $200. The first person would have to be over $200 because you don't want to lose money on a charity. Okay? That would be obviously counterintuitive. Okay. So, now how many points at the very least is required to draw a line? 2. Okay, you need 2 points to draw a line. In a table, what is the easiest value to use? The y-intercept. So this is the y-int when x equals 0. And this is the x-int because when y equals 0. Okay, so if you put 0 into here, into this equation, you will get negative 3y equals 6, right? Because 2 times 0 is 0, that's just gone. Divide by negative 3. y equals negative 2. Okay, so you just found your y-intercept is negative 2. Your x-intercept is by putting 0 into y. Okay, so I'm going to do that math over here. That would be 2x equals 6. The minus 3y goes away, doesn't it? Because 3 times 0 is 0. So that's just gone. Divide by 2. X equals 3. Okay, so those are always your, so I'll write this in 0, negative 2, and 3, 0. Get out our line. Draw it up. Okay, so that would be the equation. That would be the line. So I hope you can see that the y-intercept is 0, negative 2. Do you see that whenever you go through the y-axis, x will be 0? And this is 3, 0. So whenever you go through the x-axis, y will equal 0. That's an always, okay? Great thing about math. There's tons of always. Not a lot of gray in math, right? So these are called the intercepts. Oops. So, and just to say it again, the x-intercept is the place where the graph crosses the x-axis. To find the x-intercept, we make y equals 0. The y-intercept is a place where it crosses the y-axis. And to find the y-intercept, we make x equals 0. Okay. Do you guys have grids drawn on yours for the next one? Okay. As you can see, I don't. Okay. So, this is what you always want to do to be able to graph quick. You make a chart. We've got y-int and x-int. For y-int, what's the rule? Make x equals 0. So, 2 times 0 plus 2y. Why don't I just get that to equal 8? Do you see I could do that quite quick? Add 8 to both sides. Okay. So then, 2y equals 8. What does y equal? 4. Now since I made x equals 0, do you see this is 0, comma 4? For the x-int, we want to make y equals 0. So 2x plus 2 times 0 equals 8. X equals 8, divide by 2, x equals 4. So this is 4, comma 0. So if I was to graph this quick, here's 0, 4. Here's 4, 0. My line would go through there. Do I need to do another one of these, or are you getting it? Pretty easy? Okay, let's go to the next page. Let's see how good your memory is. Horizontal lines have a slope of. Vertical lines have a slope of. Okay, we're going to say undefined because that's what your calculator gives you. Okay, now this one says draw the graph of 2y minus 4 equals 0. Okay, first of all, let's get into y equals. That's how this will always make sense. So how would I get this to y equals? What's the first step? Add 4 to both sides. So 2y equals 4. Then divide by 2. Y equals 2. Okay, this is a little confusing because it's not in the form y equals mx plus b. Could I make it in the form y equals mx plus b? Okay, so what would that read if I was to make it in that form, Zach? Okay. That's what happened, didn't it? Where did the x go? Must have got multiplied by 0. So, what is y equals 2? How do you graph y equals 2? Yep. Okay, we'll graph the y-intercept, right? It's 2. What's the slope? 0. So, again, let me just graph it so you can see. Sorry, y equals 2. Zoom 6. There it is. Okay, I could even do this for you. Y equals 0x plus 2. There it is. Shows the slope of 0. Okay, life is good, right? Holy. Okay, makes sense? Okay, this one here. Y equals 4x plus 20. Okay, so I want to get this y equals. Pretty hard. I do not have a y. So the best thing we'll do is make it x equals. So I'm going to minus 20, minus 20. 4x equals 20, negative 20. Okay. Then I would divide by 4. X equals negative 5. Okay. So this is something you just need to know. But when it just says x equals negative 5, it's going to be a vertical. And you actually can't graph this on your calculator, because if you look on your calculator, it's always y equals, y equals, y equals. So you just need to know that when it's x equals, it's always a vertical line. Okay? So x equals, it's a vertical line. Y equals is a horizontal line. Okay, and we call it k because it's just a number. And it will intercept at k. Okay, let's do one more word problem. Spencer has 66 gigabytes of disk space left on his laptop to fill with television shows and movies that he purchases online. Suppose a 1-hour show uses 1.1 gig of disk space and a movie is 4.4. Write a linear equation that represents the number of television shows T and movies M that Spencer can store on his laptop. Okay, so this is always the nicest way to set it up. Okay, to start off. Now, suppose, so T is TV shows and they use up 1.1. So if you go 1.1 T plus 4.4 movies together, it has to equal 66. Okay, so 1.1 gig for a television show, 4.4 times a movie would equal 66. Now, do you see that there's an infinite number of possibilities there? Because you could do one show and do a bunch of movies, right? You can keep switching it around. I guess infinite isn't really true. There's quite a few, because we're not going to really do decimal movies here. So it would be discrete data. Okay? And with discrete data, there is a limited amount. But what's cool is a graph will show you all your possibilities. Okay? And I'll show you when we do this on the calculator. So, determine the t-intercept. So the t-intercept would be when? Yeah, so the t-intercept when m equals 0, right? Remember, it was always the other one equaled 0. Okay, so 1.1 t plus 4.4 times 0 equals 66. So 1.1 t equals 66. Divide both by 1.1 and you'll get t equals 60. Okay, now that is the t-intercept. Now for this one, I don't know if it really matters which is t, but say we have this graph and the t-intercept, so we'll call this t here. The t-intercept is 0, 60. Okay, and this is m. So what does 060 mean? 0 movies and 60 TV shows. Okay? Now, the m-intercept. For m-intercept, we're going to make t equals 0. So 1.1 times 0 plus 4.4 m equals 66. So that's gone. Divide by 4.4. What does m equal? M equals 15. So this would be 15, 0. Now, do you see that all of these points in here would be valid points because this point here would mean how many TV shows, how many movies would equal, because they would all have the same slope, right? So if Spencer wanted, if he bought 16 TV shows, how much would he have movies for? Well, we just look to our original equation. 1.1 times 16 plus 4.4 times m equals 6.6. 66, I mean. Okay. 1.1 times 16 equals 17.6. Okay, what do we want to do to solve? Minus 17.6. I'll get 4.4 m equals 48.4. Okay, so then I would divide by 4.4, right? And I will get m to equal 11. Now, for this one, I've put m as kind of my x, right? So do you see how 11 comma 16 would be a point on here? So like 11, 16. And you could even prove it, right? Because that's 11 movies. So you could just go times 4.4. This you're going to times by 1.1. And if you did that, you'll get 66. Right? So that's a valid point on 11, 16. So anything on this line, just dealing with the discrete points, if you could do parts of a movie and parts of it, which you can't, right? All of these would be valid points, right? But just the discrete points, all of them would all add up to 66. Okay? Okay, so here's the, now you don't have to do it on graph paper, you can just draw it quick. And then I'm going to see if I have this worksheet. Was it part of that other one? Yeah. Okay, that's what I wanted to ask. Okay, so you already have that one.